Well, welcome everyone. This is a great honor. I talked to a lot of you yesterday at the little session we had between 5 and 7, and I think one word comes to mind, and that is intelligent. I'm talking to an amazing group of people this morning that are very bright, very well educated, and maybe my message might be even a little disconcerting for some of you. But we're going to give it a roll, and we're going to see what happens. Last week, I received a phone call on my little trusty iPhone right here. And on the other end was a gentleman who was very earnest about coming to see our manufacturing facility in Bellingham, Washington. And I told him, and I explained to him in a couple emails that we'd gone back and forth with prior to the phone call, that there were no tours available till March, that we were all booked up, that we receive a request for a tour every day for our facility from somewhere around the world. And he said, is there any way that we could come see you in November? And I said, why? And prior to that, I had gone on the internet to look up who he was. And they're a billion-dollar company with 10,000 employees, global operations in countries all over the world. And he said, I'm bringing in my leaders from Belgium, from Brazil, from Canada, from Mexico, the United States, and China. And I want them to see your place. And I'm a little perplexed because we're a very small company. We have 50 employees. There's nothing of significance. We're not a global player. And I said, why would you want to come see FastCap, a woodworking product development company? We're nothing. We're not in the aerospace industry. And he said, you know, we've got the sophistication thing wired. We know sophistication. But we haven't got a clue about simple, and we want to learn lean simple. And frankly, that passed my litmus test, and I said, okay, if you get it at that level, you can come. Yesterday when I got here, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started my journey across the country, and when I got into the hotel, I thought I'd go get a Starbucks. Now, I don't go to Starbucks very much anymore because it's too expensive. I'm a little cheap. But I said, hey, I need a cup of coffee. I've been going a long time. So I walked up to the front counter, and I saw this nice little cup. And I don't know if any of you have seen this cup, but this looks like a paper cup, but it's not. It's a plastic cup. It has all the nuances and carries with it all the marketing and branding of carrying around a Starbucks cup, which most of us like to do. But the difference is this is a plastic cup that's reusable over and over again. So I want you to just to think for 1 minute about how many billions of Starbucks cups have been thrown in the landfill. And 2 years ago, Starbucks entered into their lean journey for the first time. And look at the simplicity of what came out of it. Now, for 54 cents, I can walk into Starbucks and get this refilled. Isn't that crazy? That's pretty amazing. You take a very sophisticated company, and they came up with a very simple solution. Because really that's what lean is. It is so incredibly simple. And we all have this propensity, particularly smart people, to make it very complicated. And that's what I want to talk to you today about making it very, very simple. So let's get going here. I'm looking for my presentation up here. Is it coming up? There we go. So I have a very simple goal. I'm a very goal-oriented person. Everything I do in life, boy, I set a plan and I achieve it, just one after another. And my goal is like super easy. When you walk out that door 1 hour from now, I want you to see waste like you have never seen it before. I want you to be electrified like Tesla's coil. I want you to say, oh my gosh, I had no idea what lean was about. The ground rules, though, for this talk are very, very simple. You ready? This is it. Lean is simple and lean is fun, period. If you try to complicate it, I'm afraid you might fail. I travel all over the world, been in 54 countries, been in some of the best manufacturing plants in the world. And the one congruency in all these different locations of the ones that succeed are as they've taken a seemingly very complex business formula and reduced it down and made it so simple that everybody can get it. And then the ones that go to the next level add in the fun component. So there was a professional study done a while back by Harvard. It took 5 years and $5 million to determine why students learn. What was the ingredient that allowed some students to excel and the rest to just do okay? And it turned out, after 5 years and $5 million, can't emphasize that enough, that it was just two things. They show up to class, and they sit in the front row. But we needed Harvard to tell us that. I don't get it. Why do we want to make things so complicated? So the reason why people want to come to our facility and see what we're doing is because we have a culture that is 100% engaged. That's kind of a staggering thought. Could you imagine 100% of your people getting lean? 100% of your people walking in the door every morning and saying, this lean thing, it's amazing. And today, my life is going to be transformed at yet another level. We are not going to be doing the same thing and getting the same result as we did yesterday. We're going to be doing something different today, and we're going to be getting a better result. It's possible. I like to illustrate really what's going on in most organizations. As I travel around and visit manufacturing plants, again, around the world, I see a reoccurring theme, and this is it. And it's called torturing your customer. So I want you to ask yourself a question as I show this next slide. How long would it take you to change the tire on your car? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes? I know you might call AAA because it's a pain in the butt. The process is not very clear. The directions, you don't know where they are. So this is what it looks like. I want you to pay attention to the customer here, the guy, the driver. He's a happy guy. Life's good. Yeah. Look at this guy standing around waiting in the back there. It's a well-oiled machine right here. Yep, that's what we're doing to our customers day in and day out. You know, they want something, but we rarely deliver. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is the world that I live in.
In the pit lane, out of everybody. This is Fernando Alonso's stop. It was actually the fastest single stop. And look at the guys. They look so relaxed, but there he goes. All four wheels changed and out in 3.3 seconds.
Watch how relaxed they are.
In the pit lane.
Look at the stress on their face. I want you to pay close attention to these guys.
It was actually the fastest single stop. And look at the guys. They look so relaxed, but there he goes. All four wheels changed and
now that's a happy customer.
3.3 seconds.
This is what Lean delivers, operational excellence. It delivers flow. When you do Lean, it looks simple. Now, I got a feeling that any one of us could step into that pit crew because it is so well managed and so well run, and the process is so refined that in a short period of time, one of us could replace one of those people in there because we have great, I want to emphasize, great processes. But bad processes produce the previous slide. And most of the processes that are embedded in our organizations are really clunky, but they don't need to be. So the question is, who am I? Well, I'm not a consultant. I don't do this for pay. And I'm not a professional speaker, although I travel all over the world and speak to everyone from the Israeli Defense Forces to groups like yourself. But what I am is a manufacturer, and I happen to be a general contractor. I built a lot of homes, a lot of cool projects, and I love building. I love making things. But more importantly than all of that, I am a Lean fanatic. I love Lean. because it creates operational excellence. It allows my people to see and dream about things they never thought possible. I'm able to touch people all over the world because I have the ability through a simple concept and a simple message to be able to transform, as Dan talked about, people's lives and organizations. It works. So where are we going today? It's very simple. I'm going to tell you two things. I'm going to tell you about my lean journey, how I got started in lean, and why I'm so crazy about it. And I'm going to talk about how to learn to see waste. Because if we can get to the point where you can learn to see waste differently maybe than you did before you walked in here 15, 20 minutes ago, it's game over. Everything changes if we can get to see waste differently. So my lean journey, very simple. 2000, about the same time this organization started, something happened with Paul Akers. I'd started my company about 3 years earlier in my garage, as Romano said. And I was going along, and man, we were rocking. We were a product development company. I invented a little product called the Fast Cap, I cannot emphasize how simple a product. I mean, I'm a C student, dyslexic, left-handed, Greek, I got all the things going on. And I tell you, I had to come up with something simple. So I came up with a peel and stick cover cap. And it was very successful. I took it to market the first month. And I have no business degree. I have no master's in business administration, nothing, no MBA. Took it to market. The first month we sold $5,000 worth. The second month we sold $12,000. Next month we sold $18,000. And we were off to the races. Shortly after that, I developed the Laser Jam, that product I'm holding there with my wife. And then we started selling thousands of those. And then the next thing that happened, people started hearing the story how just a carpenter, a regular guy, a general contractor, had developed some successful products. And they came up to me at trade shows and they said, I got this idea, and I got this idea. And, I was going, wow, everybody's got this intense creativity inside of them. And I said, how cool would it be to start a company where all the ideas came from other people and we treated them fairly? Even if they didn't have a patent, we paid them a 5% royalty. Can you imagine that? That is not the business way. But we did it. And today we have 600 products in 40 countries, 2,700 distributors around the world from starting in my garage. Very simple concept. Solved a very simple problem. And I fixed what bugged me. It was that easy. And the rest is history. I took a process that took 35, 45 minutes at the end of every cabinet job and turned it into 5 minutes. You want to talk about lean. What kind of savings is that? That's remarkable. So we're going along and we're rocking. We're doing really good. We set up our manufacturing lines. We're making our Laser Jam. Everything is spot on, beautiful, painted floors. And it should look pretty good, because I learned from Bob Taylor, who was my mentor from Taylor Guitars. When I was 17 years old, I made 2,000 musical instruments between 17 and 19 when I worked for Bob. And he really taught me about innovation. He taught me about thinking differently about everything, because Bob's the one that invented basically the bolt-on neck for a guitar. He basically said, hey, you know what? Instead of putting it on with a dovetail joint, you guys know what a dovetail joint is, let's just bolt it on. And the reason we want to bolt it on is so we can take it off and adjust the action and get that perfect playing action for playing that guitar. And what happened next was Bob went from making 1, 2, 3, 4 guitars a day to making 500 guitars a day, his current production load, and being played by Neil Young, Taylor Swift, Zach Brown, and countless other famous musicians played Taylor guitars because they're the best playing guitar in the world. And all because Bob said, it is too complicated to put that neck on with the dovetail joint. So let's find a simple solution. Let's bolt it on with 2 bolts. Now, so just to tell you how odd that was, woodworkers, we don't use bolts. That's not the way we work. But Bob didn't care. What Bob cared about was how do we deliver more quality to the customer? How do we deliver more value, more efficiently? He didn't care what everybody else thought. He said, forget that. I'm going to figure out a better way. And he figured out a better way. And he's smiling. 500 guitars a day. I also restored beautiful homes in Pasadena. There's one of the Victorians I restored on Marengo Avenue, and a whole bunch of beautiful homes, working on green and green style homes, just incredible stuff in Pasadena. When I was very young, when I was 20, 22 years old, this is what I did. And, you know, I learned manufacturing from the best people out there. I mean, I was working on some of the premier homes in the United States. I learned from one of the premier guitar builders in the world. And, you know, I built all the furniture in my house. I built my house. I designed my house. I did it all. So I knew what I was doing. And baby, was I organized. Man, my place was buttoned down. It was cool. People walked in and go, wow, this is crazy good. I've never seen, it looks like an airplane hangar. It's so clean in here. And I had my inventory all managed and perfectly faced off. Everything looked great. But unfortunately, and this is probably the scariest thing of all for most people, lean is not about being organized. Because you can organize waste. And I was the master of it. Let me tell you. So most people are thinking right now, hey, you know, I have this lean tendency. I'm a very organized person. You know, that's the way my mind's wired. And I'm already kind of lean. Wrong. You aren't even close to lean if you're organized. Because unfortunately, lean is not about being organized. Lean or organized is a byproduct of being lean. There's a big difference. Because you can have tons of inventory and be very organized and have great systems, but you're basically just rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. You're not doing anything else. So what happened next was I hired this consultant to come into my company because I was having problems managing inventory. And I said, hey, you know, can you come in and help me tweak my great company? We had won all these awards. The bank was giving us all the money we wanted. They said, man, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a company so well run, so well managed. And the consultant came in and looked around, and before very long, he kind of had this puzzled look on his face because he'd heard about all our accolades. And I said, can you help me? And he said, I don't think so. I said, what do you mean you don't think so? I said, well, you know, to be honest with you, man, Paul, you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to manufacture. Could you imagine what I was thinking at that point? I was saying, what are you talking about, man? I'm the master. I've been taught by the master. I know exactly what I'm doing. Look at this place. He said, no, Paul, you're clueless. You haven't got a clue what you're doing. In spite of all your manufacturing prowess and your background and your lineage. You don't have a clue. Well, that was pretty tough to hear. So I asked him, what do I need to do? And he said, you need to learn something called TPS or lean manufacturing or Kaizen, all which were Greek to me. I'd never heard of it before, and I'm Greek, and that was really tough. Okay? So I'm going, wow, how am I going to learn this stuff? And he said, well, you know, you can hire these couple consultants. I know these couple young kids from Japan. They've been translators for Toyota. So I hired these guys to come in, and they started transforming my company and turning it all into U-shaped cells, and everything became stand-up. And I was going, wow, this is crazy. But I didn't believe they could do it. So Brad and John came in and they said, well, why are you making all this inventory? They said to me. And I said, well, because the machines are very difficult to set up. And it takes a long time to get them running good parts. So once we get it set up, we just make a whole bunch of it and put it on the shelf because that seems very efficient. And they said, oh no, we're going to change all that. We're going to get rid of all your inventory, all your racks, all that stuff that looks so sexy in your mind. And we're going to change your setup times from 45 minutes to 5 minutes. And I said, get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about. It's impossible. But yes, in 1 week, they took the processes from 45 minutes to 5 minutes, and the net profit increased in 2 months to $30,000 a month. Now, I didn't do lean for money. I didn't even care about the money. It was irrelevant. We were making good money. We didn't have a burning platform. We were doing great. I did it because I wanted things to run smoothly. That's what attracted me to it the first time I heard about it. And not everything was smooth in spite of the fact that we were very organized. There were lots of little undulations, and I was the chief firefighter, and I was running here and running there, putting out all these fires. But they came in and transformed my place. I go, oh my gosh, I am clueless. And I get it. So it wasn't long, being a true convert, I was on my way to Japan. And I went to Lexus, and I went to Toyota City, and I started viewing all these amazing manufacturing facilities. And I saw things I'd never seen before, like stand-up desks and open offices and no walls. And I saw manufacturing plants that were spit-shined and beautiful and no inventory and everything one-piece flow and everything looked fun and it was painted bright colors and the people were engaged and they were cleaning the streets around them and they're not only cleaning their own facility but cleaning the neighborhood around them. They were just a bright shining star to their communities, and everywhere I went I was just like, what the heck, man, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. This is way beyond what I was doing. When I went to Lexus, the smokestacks were painted yellow. Do you know why they were painted yellow? They were painted yellow so the community could see whether or not they were polluting. And they could see through visual controls whether or not they were polluting. I go, wow, these people are serious. They're not playing games here. This is serious. That top picture in the top right-hand corner, that's Toto. They make toilets and brass fixtures. The cleanest facility I've ever been in my life. You could eat off the floor cleaner than any restaurant I've ever seen. One-piece flow. It was magical seeing what I saw. And I realized I was so far off the mark. They were so fanatical about things, they put their Coke machines on wheels so that everything was flexible, so that if the needs or demands changed for the factory, nothing was built in. Everything could be rolled away. Everything could be cleaned around very simply. I mean, these guys were operating at a different level. This is Toto again. They walk around with a badge that says 0 on it. 0 defects, 0 machine breakdowns, 0 safety issues. I mean, they're not talking about, occasionally, it's 0. And they're happy. And the employees are very engaged. So, on my second trip to Japan, I was a little bit struggling. I'd been doing Lean for 5 years, and we'd been doing Kaizen events and Lean newspapers and A3s and A4s and A5s and A6, and we invented A20s by the time we were done with it, man. We were doing everything. Value stream mapping, we had sticky notes all over the place. We were doing it all. But I didn't have buy-in from my people. And that was the problem. No buy-in. It was all driven by me. When I left, everything went back to the way it was. I went back to Japan a second time, and we met with the vice president of Lexus down in Kyushu, Japan. And after about a 2-hour lecture and a tour of the plant, I walked up to him and I asked a very interesting question. Never forget it for the rest of my life. I remember the words coming out of his mouth. I said, what is the most important thing for Toyota? And he looked at me and said, it's so simple. Teaching and training people and building a culture of continuous improvement. That's all we care about. If we get that right, everything else takes care of itself. Worldwide, we have 300,000 employees. Our turnover rate is under 0.5%. If it ever gets anywhere even close to 1%, we would panic. That would be an indicator that we're failing at our job. Do you see the standard here we're talking about? And I realized at that moment when he said that, that's what I was doing wrong. I was doing great Kaizen events. I was doing lean newspapers. I had value stream mapping. I was doing it all. I embraced it all. But I didn't teach and train my people. I was not focused on building a culture of continuous improvement. I came back from that trip to Japan, and we started having a morning meeting every morning. From there on, 7 years now, we have never missed. We have a meeting that lasts between a half hour and an hour every day. I invest $2,000 in my employees every day. Every day, we are sharpening the axe, and then we go to work. Before we even have the meeting, we do 3 essing, not 5 essing, not 6 essing. Before long, they're going to have 10 essing. I hear now it's up to 6. We went backwards. We have 3 essing. We sweep. We clean our entire facility. We sort. We get rid of everything in the facility that's not supposed to be there. And then we create standards for everything. And then we have a meeting for 45 minutes where we review our sales numbers. We go over history. We study the Constitution. We go over 6 improvements that were made by people that morning before we ever started work. Everybody makes an improvement. Everybody makes a tiny improvement before we ever work. A 2-second improvement. I started investing all my time, everything who I was, my entire being, in teaching and training people, becoming a coach to my people, not the CEO. I stepped down from the CEO role, which is officially really the firefighter role, That's all we do, most of us. And I said, I'm not doing any more firefighting. I'm done firefighting. I'm going to start teaching and training. And I started that, and everything changed. And then I had another epiphany, that if I really wanted lean to take hold, I really just needed to do one thing. I needed to teach my people the 8 wastes, and I needed to teach them to see waste. That was the key ingredient. I remember on my second trip to Japan, I was kind of overwhelmed. We had visited so many incredible plants. And I was just like, how do I do this? And you're thinking, I know a lot of you are thinking, how do I do my 8 hours worth of work, which is really 12 hours worth of work, and then implement lean? I mean, it's like impossible. And I'm holding my head, I'm going, oh my gosh, how am I going to possibly do this? I've got my head down, and I'm in the front seat of the bus, and all of a sudden it came over me. And I looked up at my sensei, Brad, and I said, I get it. I finally get it. All lean is about the elimination of waste. It's about seeing waste and eliminating it. It's nothing more, nothing less. And he looked at me and go, you got it. That's it. That's all Toyota's done. They've identified the 8 wastes, and they're relentlessly eliminating it. But most people miss that point. When I speak to people, I often ask, how many people can tell me the 8 wastes? And invariably, there are very few people that know them. And most people that do know them because they know an acronym, like Tim would. I hate to say it, and I don't want to be disruptive or disrespectful, but that's a joke. That's not how you learn the 8 wastes. And that's what I want to show you this morning. I want to show you what the 8 wastes are and how they really work. Because once you get it, it's life-changing. You see, all waste comes from one thing: overproduction. The minute you make too much of something, you're screwed. Then all the other wastes fall behind. Now, I'm never going to quote an acronym up here. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to teach you how waste occurs. And once you learn how it occurs, everything changes. So the first thing is, and every morning we teach our people this, every morning someone in our company has to tell the story of waste. We make it relevant. So the first thing you do is you overproduce. So if I'm a restaurant, or let's say I'm cooking for a couple dinner guests at home, and I make too much salad, I overproduce the salad. And then the next thing you know, we didn't eat all the salad. So what do I have to do? I have to transport the salad. And where do I transport it to? The refrigerator, which is inventory. So now I've overproduced. I've transported it to the refrigerator. It's in the refrigerator. Now I have inventory. And the next thing that's going to happen to that inventory, and this happens worldwide, everywhere, it doesn't matter where you go, okay, is you get a defect. Now you got a defect. The salad is wilting. It's not as yummy as it was when you made it yesterday. So you don't want to eat that. So now you got to take it out of the refrigerator, and you got to overprocess it, right? Maybe add a little more salad dressing, maybe scrape it into the trash can. Excess motion. Meanwhile, your family is waiting. We want food. And you've wasted your valuable potential as a human being that has the capacity to solve problems and innovate. That's the 8 wastes. So the minute you start to see that, the minute you start to realize that overproduction is the culprit, you'll be able to see it everywhere you go. And so what has happened to me is I started teaching this concept. But I did it with my iPhone. I took this beautiful device, one of the greatest lean inventions of all time. I always like to thank Steve Jobs. He's just my hero. He is the ultimate lean thinker. He understood elegance and simplicity when he invented this tool. And I started videotaping waste everywhere I go. And I started teaching people to video waste. And as soon as that happened, it started spreading. We have 800 videos online. They're all free. You can watch them anytime you want. They teach people all over the world. This morning I got an email from Sam Korb in Israel. And Sam is a great lean thinker and got me in the Israeli Defense Forces when I spoke over there. And he said, Paul, I just want to tell you we have a brand new baby. His name is Golan. How appropriate. And I said, wow, that's cool, in his email. And he said, I want you to know that as soon as he came out of the womb, we started teaching him the 8 wastes. Because people that get it they know it's transformative. I mean, when you start to understand this, it's over with. All of a sudden, the quality of your life improves, and the quality of the life around you and the people that you associate with. It is continuously improving. We're not doing the same thing and getting the same result. We're doing something different, and we're getting a better result day after day after day, simply because you have the ability to see waste. So now, I'm going to show you a series of cheesy little videos that I made. Some I made, some other people made, and it's really going to typify that. Are you ready? This is one of my favorite ones. It's called the lean burrito. Excuse the cheesiness of it, but I think it will get the point across. You ready? The lean burrito.
In an attempt to always find waste, this is my burrito that I'm eating. Now, they asked me when I bought it if I wanted sour cream and hot sauce, and I said yes. So instead of putting it in the burrito, they gave it to me in a separate container.
I have an idea.
Next time, put the sour cream and the hot sauce in the burrito. Okay, I just finished my burrito, and this is all the waste. We have the aluminum foil that's going to be thrown out, the paper that's going to be thrown out, the container from the salsa and the sour cream. We have 2 napkins, one I didn't use, and a whole little box here with a plastic fork and a plastic knife, all going to be put in the landfill for 1 burrito. All I really needed was the aluminum foil to wrap it in, and that was it. Sour cream, everything could have been inside. In 1 napkin, I would have made less of a mess, and I would have been perfect. Look at all the waste.
Check out this waste. We did a spreadsheet. 4 cents for the carton. The knife and fork, 6 cents. Everything added up to 31 cents of waste per burrito. 30 burritos a day, $9.30 times 7 days a week, 52 weeks. $3,385 per store. If you take 31 cents a burrito times 10 million burritos a day in the U.S. alone, that's $3.1 million in the landfill. That's total waste. Okay, I'm back at the local coffee shop, curb shops, and we're going to get ourselves a lean burrito. Watch how this is done. Hi, Gina. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Can I get a lean burrito?
Sure.
I want a burrito with sour cream, hot sauce inside, aluminum foil, and nothing else in 1 napkin.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks, Gina. Here it comes, the lean burrito. What do we got? Aluminum foil, 1 napkin? Wow, that's amazing. Look at all the waste we eliminated. With the sour cream and everything inside. Isn't this yummy? Look at this thing. All ready to go, just the way I wanted it, just what the customer wanted, and no more and no less.
It's happening everywhere, and it turns into the game of lean. You know, think about it. I was delighted yesterday when I got my new Starbucks cup for $2 that I'm going to have hopefully forever and ever. Keep reusing it, and I'm going to feel very satisfied every time that another cup is not going into the landfill, that another cup is not being manufactured needlessly, that another cup is not being transported needlessly, that another cup is not being managed in inventory needlessly, that another cup is not being accounted for needlessly, and then thrown in the trash, taking the trash out, putting it in the dumpster, and then a guy coming and picking it up, putting it in a landfill, and then running over it with a bulldozer and maintaining the methane for the next 100 years. It's pretty cool. Lean is cool. And you do that every day, and you start teaching your people to see waste. We measure the success of our lean culture by whether or not our people do lean at home. If they're not doing lean at home, we're doing something wrong. And our people all do lean at home. It's so exciting to see what happens. So we teach it to our customers. You know, we say FastCap is not a product development company. We're a lean company that happens to produce cool products. So we teach it everywhere we go, and we start getting these really, really cool results. And this is one. This is Greg from Xylem Design, a cabinet shop that makes pedestal designs for Tiffany and does all kinds of great stuff. 1 year ago, they started to embrace the 2-second lean model of making small, incremental improvements every day and requiring it from all their employees. They started meeting with their people, and they started innovating off the charts. This next one happens to be one of my favorite videos of all time, because for me, as a builder, this makes a lot of sense. So here we go. Fix what bugs you.
Problem with drill indexes. Most drill indexes come complete, but that honeymoon ends very quickly because the small bits disappear, get worn out, or break, and over time, some of the larger bits do the same. The frustration that people have in manufacturing environments is that you need a lot of people to be able to have access to a full bandwidth of bits. So you end up buying bits in bulk. When you buy bits in bulk, whatever bins they go into, typically it's difficult to get the bit back into that bin anyhow, and the way you do that, if you're going to return it to a bulk bin, is to typically go to a gauge and play around with it until you figure out which hole it really belongs in. This is inaccurate and profoundly wasteful in terms of its time. It also leads to this state of affairs, which is people don't want to hear about it or deal with it, so they collect over time, and no one really knows where they belong. We solved this problem at our facility by designing a drill index that is color coordinated. You can see that the colors are divided by fractions, and they're all relevant. So we have eighth, quarter, 3/8 and half, and the 64ths are lined up, and thus and such. So even the ring around it matches. It is pretty much impossible to screw up. And when you find a drill bit sitting out, instead of ignoring that bit, as historically has been done, you just know darn well that all you have to do is drop it in the index, and you're certainly not going to confuse this green with 5/64ths. So it really is, it's really been one of the most impactful examples of a well-executed lean concept, and we've enjoyed it to pieces.
Who doesn't want that? Everybody wants that. We show that to people. When you take a tour of our facility, we take you into our engineering department, which we affectionately call the bitchin' department, because everything we make is bitchin', and if it doesn't meet that criteria, we don't make it. And we go ahead and show people this thing, and I go ahead and grab 10 drill bits, real quick, 10, randomly grab them, and I put them in a CEO's hand, and I say, go ahead and put them away. And they get, the first thing they do, they go, and they put everything away perfectly. Because lean is simple. It takes complex processes and makes them simple. It makes them elegant. It makes you say, yes, I want to do that. It takes away struggle. They simply fix what bugs them. I want you to notice something else about that. He shot that with his iPhone. He's now transmitted that concept around the world. People get to see the beauty and elegance of lean, because he simply didn't overcomplicate it by hiring a film crew, creating a film department, buying expensive cameras. He simply took out his iPhone and said, here's the problem, and here's the solution. He was able to show that to his entire team, all 30 of his employees, and then all the new hires get to sit down and watch that. He's communicating. He's developed a library of learning that's engaging and interesting, because he kept it simple. And that's all I'm suggesting. Pick up your iPhone, pick up your Droid, whatever it is, pull it out, show me the problem, show the solution, upload it to YouTube, make a YouTube channel, and start building a culture. And you know what's interesting is we have a real problem in today's day and age. We have two different generations. We have the current generation, which is very techy. They love technology. They're Facebooking, you know, they're Twittering, they're doing all this, and then there's the rest of us, 53 and older, we're not so good at that stuff. But this concept joins the two together, because even us old guys can figure out how to do this. It's not hard, right? And the young people, they're proficient at it, and they love this stuff. So now you've got engagement at a whole different level. And when you get engagement, you get more ideas. And when you get more ideas, you get more engagement. And then you get more ideas. And all of a sudden, you've got this rapidly growing and dynamic lean culture based on a couple simple principles. Number one, we're going to keep it simple. Number two, we're going to teach people to see the waste. Greg clearly sees the waste. And he eliminates it and empowers his people to do it. They stop what they're doing at a moment's notice. They make the video, and the rest is history. So last year, I had a great time, and Art Byrne, who is a fabulous lean thinker, he wrote the book Lean Transformation. I interviewed him on my show, and he took to me, and I feel very fortunate that a man of this caliber wanted to mentor me. And he said, Paul, you know, we happen to do a lot of injection molding. We're pretty big in that. And he said, I really want you to go to Belgium to see one of my companies, a Celti. We make injection molded parts for office supplies. and I want you to go and see. And I said, Art, can I bring some of my people? So I took 3 of my employees. We went on a lean tour all over Europe. We had a fabulous time. And I went into Art's company at Accelti, and I saw something, frankly, I've never seen before in all my trips to Japan and everything else. And I'm going to show it to you right now. And I think one of the things I want you to take away today is lean is not lean. Lean is earth-shaking. The difference between real lean and pseudo-lean is the difference between that side of the room and that side of the room. It's like we're not even in the same league. So last week I spoke at the National Plastic Association up in Indiana. And these guys are experts in injection molding. You know, they have hundreds of employees. They have shifts that run around the clock. And I showed this video, and they looked at me like, that's not possible. Well, here you go. I'm going to describe what's going on here as it happens. This is an injection molding machine, and that's a 10,000-pound mold right there. That operator has just been signaled to come change that mold because they're a just-in-time shop with no inventory. Did you hear what I just said? They're a just-in-time shop with no inventory, and they're plastic molders. He has just disconnected the water and the hydraulic lines to the mold. He is dressed in white because they want to know whether or not he's stressed out and if the job is too difficult. He is about ready to change a 10,000-pound mold in 5 minutes. Now, prior to this, that takes 8 hours to do in 3 people. They're crawling all over the machine on top of it and everything else. He rolls a cart in place effortlessly with one hand with a little tiny wheel with no motor. Everything's done just on his own. He lowers a little tiny drawbridge down, and he effortlessly rolls a 10,000-pound mold with no bolts or anything out of a machine. The last part that was shot was perfect, and the first part that he shoots will be perfect. He takes it out, and then again, with one hand, this massive piece of steel rolls it out of the way, effortlessly. Nobody helping him. He's doing it all on his own. Meanwhile, there are machines all over the facility that are making exactly what the customer wants when they want it. His tools are perfectly positioned. He goes in and he wipes off the platen, puts a little bit of lubricant on it to make sure it doesn't rust. He cleans it, puts it back, effortlessly walks over to another mold that has been pre-staged. These are my people jumping in. They can't even believe what they're seeing right now, and we know what we're doing. He's got a mold that's been preheated, so there's no waiting. So the mold is already heated and effortlessly disconnects the preheating element. Then effortlessly again rolls a 10,000-pound mold into a machine. He's barely breaking a sweat, dressed in white. Then he gets it in, lowers the drawbridge back up, or raises the drawbridge back up, moves the mold out of place, out of the way, to go down to the end of the machine to get the next mold that's going to go in to produce exactly what the customer wants when they want it, just in time. So in the process of doing all this, Art Burns' company, Accelti, has eliminated an 80,000 square foot facility of inventory they were carrying. Millions and millions of dollars. He just put the mold in, hit a couple buttons, hydraulic clamps came, secured the mold in place. The screw is starting to screw in the back and fill the barrel. I speed it up a little bit here just for your own sake, just so you can see it go a little bit faster. The mold opens up the first time. He sprays a little release agent on it, closes it back down, hits the cycle button. First shot comes out, looks at it, he's going, God, hard job. Used to take 8 hours, 3 of us. And in under 5 minutes, he does the impossible. Remember that movie I showed of the Indy racing crew or the Formula One racing crew? How effortlessly they did it. And in 4 minutes and 50 seconds, the operator walks away. He doesn't even wait for the first part to come out because he knows it's going to be perfect. That's lean. Now, I want to ask you a question. That is a very sophisticated $1 million machine you watched. The mold, $150,000, $200,000. How many of you think that in 5 minutes we could walk into that factory and you could learn to do what he just did? And the answer is, I think most of you would say I could do that. That's the way every process should be. As a matter of fact, that is how we measure the processes at FastCap. Everything we do can be accomplished by someone on the outside who has no experience. They could walk into our processes and learn everything in 5 minutes. Not everything in our company, but any single process. The information can be transmitted and it can be accomplished by someone with no knowledge. because that's what lean should be about. It's not about making things complicated. It's about simplifying things. One of my favorite quotes in the whole world is from Colin Powell. Colin Powell said, there are two kinds of people in the world. There are those that simplify and those that complicate. Pause. Those that simplify have a real job. Anybody can complicate something. You are a master when you can pull off this. And that is what we want to do in Lean. We want to make things so easy that people are like empowered to do it. And then when you do that, what happens is you gain a flexible workforce. And a flexible workforce is a workforce that can produce fluidity and flow in your organization. But when you have all these specialized people that do all this specialized work because you made it so complicated, you're not going to get flexibility. You're not going to be able to serve your customer very well. It's a beautiful thing when you really start to understand what Lean is all about. It is so simple. So as we taught this concept to people, one of the companies we taught it to was Walters & Wolff. Some of you know Walters & Wolff. They're a large glazing manufacturer, one of the largest on the West Coast. They do high-rise glass projects in Vegas and Los Angeles and San Francisco and Seattle. And about a year ago, I got another interesting phone call. And this time it was from Nick Cosell. And he called up and he said, is there any chance we watch one of your silly little videos? Is there any chance I could bring my executive team up to your place and see what you're doing? And I said what I say to everyone who has great big companies with 900 employees and does hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not slick. If you come here thinking you're going to see all fancy robotics, we have a couple robots, and you're going to be all wowed by what we do, you're wasting your time. What we do is very simple, and you will clean our bathroom. And he said, I know, I've heard. We're going to show you what Lean looks like by making you clean our bathroom. So Nick came up, and he walked away, and he looked, and he goes, could it be this simple? And I said, well, you can make it complicated, and you can go knock yourself out. I really don't care, but we made it this simple, and we're having a lot of fun, man. We have people from all over the world. We're training Amazon. Could you imagine our little podunk, little crappy company that we have in Bellingham, Washington, that we have the top people from Amazon coming to train with us? Coca-Cola's bought over 700 books from us. I called up Coca-Cola the other day and said, why are you buying so many books? Oh, and they said, it's real simple. The janitor gets it, and the CEO gets it. Everybody gets it. You made it so simple, and we love the pictures. So Nick goes back, and he says, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do exactly what you said. 1 year later, I just spoke with Nick up in Indiana. I brought him out there for the Lean Symposium up there. And I said, you know, they asked me to be the keynote speaker a second year in a row. And I said, why do you want to listen to me speak again? I'm boring. What do you want to listen to me for? But I got a better idea. Always continuous improvement, because I'm all about continuous improvement. I never do the same talk twice. If you've heard me speak before, I'm talking about a lot of stuff I've never talked about before, because everything has to improve. I said, let's do something different. Let me bring 5 companies from around the world. Let me put the 5 executives up on the stage, and let's talk about their lean journey for the last year. Let's see how they've transformed their company in 1 year in the time it took me 13 years to do it. And the leader of the organization said, that is brilliant. Would you do that? I made one Voxer call. I have Voxer. It turns my phone into a walkie-talkie. I put all 5 of them on in Germany, England, San Francisco, Colorado, Indiana. And I said, hey, guys, I got a proposition. Can you help me out? Will you go to Indiana and spend 1 hour of your time doing a lean roundtable and tell people what you've done in the last year? Within 5 minutes, around the world, I had a response from everyone. And they said, hell yes, I'll be there. Last week, we showed up. It was the most incredible lean event I've ever done. Because I wasn't talking, I was just asking questions. And to hear these guys tell the story, and Nick was one of them. When Nick describes his company, he says, you know, we were good, but now it's just unbelievable. It's like we're carbonated. Everyone is on fire because we started making videos. And in 1 year, now remember, I've been doing this for 13 years. I've been making videos for 7 years. I've made 800 videos. In 1 year, Walters & Wolff has made 1,500 videos. They have transformed their entire company Everyone in their company, all 900 employees, get it because they make simple little videos that show before and after, the problem, the solution. They transmit the idea of seeing waste in a simple way that everybody says, this is cool. I can get this. I can do it. And this is my favorite one. It's called Hauling the Mail.
Hi, this is Cheryl Aaron with Walters & Wolf. Our weekly improvement video is regarding hauling the mail. Here is our improvement opportunity. We're currently looking at the annex building where 38 people work. On a daily basis, we need to walk to the big house to collect our mail, which is all the way over there.
Hey, Greg. Where are you headed? All right. Have a nice walk.
Now, I want you to ask yourself a question as you're watching this. What value is the customer
There
getting?
goes Greg on his hike.
Are you willing to pay for
Big
this
house to
as a
get his
customer? Is this what you're doing to your customer every day?
Hey, Greg. Lots of mail today?
None today.
All right. That's a bummer. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Cheryl with Walters & Wolf, and this is our consensus for hauling the mail from the big house back to the annex building. We have approximately 38 people. At 4 minutes and 30 seconds a person, it takes 171 minutes per day, 855 minutes per week, 3,420 minutes per month, 41,040 minutes per year, 684 hours of wasted time.
Hey, that's looking pretty good over there.
Yeah, this is number 2 to complete the set.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jose. That's,
No biggie.
that looks like that should fit in there nicely.
Looks nice, yeah.
Great.
It's gonna look great.
Hey, Greg, where are you going?
Get my mail in. It's that time. Right on. Much better. Thanks.
That's just one example. 1,500 improvements. Thousands and thousands of improvements, 1,500 videos documenting, frankly, the stupidity that we all engage in every day. I do it. On a scale of 1 to 100, Toyota's a 99. Never seen anything like it in my life. It's really staggering. How many people here have been to a Toyota plant? Kind of raise your hand. So there's a few. You know what I'm talking about. You know, Ford recently wrote off, and I know this from inside information, although it is public, $4 billion of steel. Threw it out. They had steel from the 1950s. They wrote off another $1.5 billion in aluminum. Toyota gets their steel hour by hour. Overproduction, just in time, flow. It's two different planets. We're not talking about, hey, I'm doing lean. You need to, if you're doing lean, you need to be on another planet. It should be that big a difference. On a scale of 1 to 100, Toyota's a 99. As good as we are, we have people from around the world, Amazon, top companies, Pratt & Whitney, you name it, Bombardier. We have the best and the brightest come see our facility. We're a 3. We suck. We are so bad. We have waste everywhere. We have $2 million worth of inventory in our facility. That is atrocious by Toyota standards. But you know what? It's going down. We're getting better, and I'm happy. And our processes are getting better. Our accomplishments, in my mind, are staggering. From the time we get the order to the time we build the product, package it, and put it in the truck, 2 hours. I've never heard of a company ever doing that. That's pretty incredible. 600 products, a lot of them very complicated. 2 hours. We have the most flexible work staff. It's not uncommon at all to see our engineering staff on the shop floor manufacturing and making the product side by side with the people who are doing the piecework, because everybody works together as a team. There's not like your department and my job description and your job description. We all have one job description. It's process engineer. It doesn't matter whether or not you're the first day at a 16-year-old or you're an engineer who's 60 years old. Your job title is process engineer. Your job is not to come make woodworking tools and equipment. Your job is to improve the way we make woodworking tools and equipment. And that is a game changer. And the more you teach people the concept of learning to see waste, all of a sudden everything changes. And I ask and I beg you, do not remember it from an acronym, because the first waste and the one that produces all the others is overproduction. And then once we overproduce something, we have to transport it. And then we transport it and we put it on inventory. And hiding in that inventory is defects. And then we have to take those defects and we have to rework them and overprocess them. And that creates excess motion. Meanwhile, the customer's waiting and we're wasting our potential. So I teach people, make a story out of it. So that everywhere you go, whether it's in McDonald's or in Starbucks, whether it's when you're washing your dishes or making your food, mowing your lawn, you should start to see the waste and start playing the game of waste, eliminating it through small incremental improvements. This next one is great. I recently spoke up at Kohler, Wisconsin to a lean symposium up there, and one of the gals was the vice president of a big printing company. I have about 200 employees. And she looked at me and she goes, God, this is way too simple, man. I need something simple. My life's so complicated. And this is Emma teaching her team the 8 wastes print style with the Serbian calendar. And on the side is the president of the company cheering her on. And he is the biggest lean zealot in the world for the last 6 months, because they are transforming their company, 200 employees, based on the simple concept of teaching their people to see waste. And this is Emma teaching it and making it relevant. No acronym.
This is a little story about manufacturing and the printing of the Serbian calendar. And before we all shake our heads in pain and slight laughter, I'm just going to walk through the 8 wastes. This is a perfect example of doing all of them. So order comes in, and we printed way more sets of the Serbian calendar than we needed to. So what is that waste?
Overproduction.
So we had all these cards of calendars, and we had nowhere to put them. So we kicked them around the bindery over and over and over again. So what type of waste is that?
Transport.
So we overproduced, then we transported.
And motion.
Oh, that's coming. So we put these pallets, or these sheets, onto a pallet in the electrical room. We had so many of them. And we pulled from those sheets to fulfill all the orders. So what is that one? Inventory. We overproduced, transported it, and then put it in the inventory. So we have all these sheets sitting in this utility closet. It's dusty, it's dirty, some of them get damaged. So what did we have? Defects. We overproduced, we transported, we put it in the inventory, and then we let it get damaged for defects. So then, we got to pull our talented bindery people off the floor to sort through piles of sheets and pull out the damaged one. What is that waste?
Overprocessing.
Overprocessing. We overproduced, transported, put it in the inventory, discovered we had defects, and then we had to overprocess. Meanwhile, poor Father Vincent waiting for his calendars. So what's our 6th waste? Waiting. We overproduced, transport, inventory, defects, reworks, customers waiting. So all of this shuffling around of this calendar, all of these sorting back through it, waste of motion. Overproduced, transported, put it in the inventory, discovered we had defects, overprocessed, poor customers waiting, waste of motion, and the saddest of all is underutilization of our people. So our people are sitting, doing a very low value add work. They are not producing anything of value for our customer. They are not focusing on continuous improvement. And they are not solving any problems. So the last time we're going to do it. overproduce.
Overproduced.
We transport. We inventory.
Look at the president of the company.
defects, Overprocessing. Waiting. Motion.
Underutilization.
Thank you.
Right.
You know why he's excited? Because he turned his entire organization in 6 months. He's excited because everybody gets it, all 200 employees. He sends me emails every week saying, check this out, man. Check out this cool improvement we're making. I'm going, Andrew, you rock. It is that simple. Emma got it. She goes, man, I need something to simplify my life. It's so complicated. And now I walk into work, everything's better. And the next day, it's going to be better. Not because we're doing value stream mapping. I'm not telling you don't do value stream mapping, but I don't do value stream mapping. I don't need to. You know why? Because everywhere I go and in everything I do, I see waste. And everything's an opportunity for me to improve it. And if I'm improving it, my customer's happy. We haven't raised our prices in 7 years. I don't know of a single company anywhere that can say that. 7 years. Now, everything we do is plastics related, petroleum related, shipping. We ship millions of dollars with UPS every year. I mean, everything's going to the ceiling. And yet, we're not raising our prices. Why not? Because we keep driving our costs down, delivering more value. What does that do for our customers? Our customers look at it and say, man, you are the easiest customer in the world to deal with. I've never dealt with a vendor like you. You don't have all these rules and regulations. You just deliver high-quality product consistently. You take responsibility for everything you do. You don't give me all these spreadsheets with raising my prices 2% this year and 2%. Everything's just easy. You're the best vendor I've ever dealt with in my life. We don't hear that once. We hear that every day. Because we value the customer. Because our job is to serve the customer. Everybody at our company knows we have one job. To serve the customer. We're not there for ourselves. We're not there to make money. We're not there to create benefits. I know you guys are all thinking at me like I'm crazy. Oh, no. That's not why we're there. We're there to serve the customer. And when we serve the customer, we make damn good money. Don't ever forget it. If you get your priorities straight, everything else takes care of itself. We serve the customer by eliminating waste. We serve the customer by teaching them lean principles. We serve the customer by keeping it simple. By making it so that everyone can understand. We recently are finally building our brand new facility, 50,000 square feet. It's going to be the best lean facility in the world. That's our goal. Our goal is to be the best lean company in the world, and our goal is to have the best lean facility. There are no walls. There are no offices. I'm all out on the shop floor. I have no office now. My new desk is right in the middle of the manufacturing plant, along with customer service, engineering, design, marketing. Everybody's on the shop floor. Everybody's interacting with one another. Everyone's saying to themselves, how do you do that with the noise? We'll figure out a way, because we're lean. We'll solve that problem. We know we will. Because nothing will stand in the way of over-communicating, being so clear and transparent on everything we do so we can work together as a team. So when I went to get my bank loan, the banker, smart, intelligent guy, of course we applied for many loans with many banks, and everybody wants our business because we are golden, and we basically do everything out of cash. We almost don't even need the loan to do this. But he said, you know, I read your book, and I was about ready to bring a 28-page document in here with all the nuances of the loan. But I knew, man, if I did that, you would just walk me out of here. And I said, you are so smart, Michael. And he gave me a one-page document, and I looked at it, and I said, you gave me all the information I wanted to know. Boom. Got the loan. That's what lean thinking produces. You know, I remember Nick and Michael and Ashley and all the people that have implemented the 2-second lean concept of simply making small incremental improvements and keeping it simple. They all set up on stage. They said, the last year has been the most exciting year of my business career. I have never had more opportunities come to me than I have in the last year. Because we've kept it so simple, and it's been so fun. And the opportunities are swirling around me like a tornado. And I'm just grinning, because that's what happened to me. I mean, I get 300 emails a day. I get a speaking request every day. I get a tour request every day. People buying hundreds of books. They're emailing me nonstop. Another 100 books went out to this company, another 100 books. And I'm going, of course, because I kept it simple. If you keep it simple, awesome stuff can happen. Nick from Walters & Wolf called me about, 3 months ago, and he said, Paul, you will not believe what just happened to me. And I said, what happened, Nick? And he said, I had these consultants come in, And they said, we would come in and help you with lean and teach you lean, and the government will pay for half of the consulting. And then you pick up the other half, and Nick, very humble guy, just, gosh, so humble for what he does. 900 people, millions of dollars in business, tons of responsibility. He said, well, gosh, that sounds good. You know, we would love some help. And the guy said, but we've been doing a little bit of lean already. We've been doing it for about 6 months or so. And he said, oh, really? He said, is it possible for me to go out in your manufacturing plant and kind of see what you guys are doing? And Nick said, sure. Walked him out there. The guy looked around. How long have you been doing this? 6 months. I can't help you. I work with companies for years, and they have not accomplished what you've accomplished here. Is it possible for us to come tour your place and me bring my customers here? Took me 13 years to figure this out. The premise of the book is you can do it in 1 year if you keep it simple. If you realize it's really all about fixing what bugs you, it's about seeing waste and saying, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore, and I'm going to consistently take every opportunity that I'm confronted with and improve it and make it a little bit better, which guarantees that the next day is better than the day before. And your people are engaged, and they're giving you creativity. Just zero struggle. I like to show this video, and I'm probably going to end with this video here, because it really typifies how much it is right in front of every one of us, and we all miss it. But the minute you see waste, and you see a struggle, and you see overprocessing and excess motion, all of a sudden the opportunities abound. Now, I'm a guy with a lot of patents. I could take this next idea and maybe patent it and make millions. How come the camera companies have not figured this out? I have no idea. But it is right in front of us, and only because I'm a lean thinker did I figure this out. You ready? Here we go.
Hi, everyone. You know what? I got this fabulous new camera, and like all cameras, it has a problem. Whenever I go to put the battery in, I don't know how to put the battery in. Those are contacts, so I'll put it in like that, but you know what? It doesn't work like that. You've got to put it in exactly the right way with this little rounded corner. It's just hard. It's really dumb that they haven't figured out a better way to do this, but I thought of a better way, so watch this. See that little orange tab right there? All I'm going to do is take an orange marker, and I'm going to put an orange mark right there, right? And you know what that does? That is strong visual controls. Every time I put in my battery, it goes in right every time. That's lean.
So I wanted to open it up for Q&A, for questions, but I do want to end with one concept. One thing to think about. And if you answer this one question, again, everything else will take care of itself. What bugs you? Fix it, and you'll be surprised what will happen with your organization. So I'd like to open it up for questions. Romano, anybody have any questions? If you ask me a technical one, I'll probably pass, but go ahead.
Could I get this slide, please? Thank you. So since we are a little larger this year, we've got 4 mic stands that are set up kind of in the middle here. So if you want to make your way there, and we're going to start with our traditional format. We've got Bernita, who's going to be typing, and we're going to do our key takeaways. And so those will be up on the big board where everybody can see them. And then after that, we'll transition to questions that are going to be captured by Patrick and by Todd over here on the sides, and then they'll bring the easels right over here to Paul, and he'll answer those. So if you guys want to just go ahead, hop up, line up at the mic stands, and let's hear key takeaways from what Paul had today.
They could be shell-shocked, though. They might not have any.
That's possible.
Any riveting questions? You look overwhelmed. Last night at dinner, they said, what was it? How did you say it? You were kind of like wow, and then...
I think I said inspired and devastated.
Inspired and devastated. My intention is not to devastate anyone, but just to say, hey, you know, there's a whole different paradigm out there on what lean really is and what most people think it is. And it produces some significant operational excellence.
So key takeaways.
Thanks very much. My name's Zofia Obkoski. I'm an assistant professor at Texas A&M, and I teach Lean, so I really appreciated this talk. I think, thanks for the whoop.
Where are you? Because I can't quite see you with the lights.
I know.
Okay,
my voice
there you
is
go.
all over the place. So thank you. One of the key takeaways that I got from your talk, Mr. Akers, was this idea of creating a culture of Lean. We actually kind of have a lot of academic ways of teaching Lean, and I like that you actually ask your employees to come up with some very small 2-second improvement in their environment. I was thinking of doing that with my students. So I thought that was a fabulous suggestion, very simple, and helps to instill a culture of Lean. So that was one of my takeaways.
Yeah, it's very exciting. You know, next month, I think I'm speaking at Biola University, and I've been talking with the president of that university. It happened to be my alma mater and where I went to school. And I said, you know, they're on this big building project. You know, they got to raise $150 million or some crazy thing. And I said, how would you like to raise like $10 million and accomplish the same thing? And he looks at me like I'm crazy. And I'm saying, you know what? All you have to do is every time you end a class, evaluate this teacher. Have everyone go out there and rate. Was it interesting? Was it clear communication? What did you learn? And then not for the sake of criticizing the teacher, but just for the sake of improving. So if the teacher gets that feedback every day, could you imagine the quality of education, how it would improve because you're working collaboratively as a team? That's what we do at our company. Every day, one of our employees, whether you're 16 years old or 60 years old, leads a morning meeting. I don't lead the morning meeting. Everybody leads the morning meeting. I have 16-year-olds standing up and teaching in front of companies that are billion-dollar companies, CEOs and chairmen of the board of a billion-dollar company, and they do a phenomenal job. You know why they do a phenomenal job? Because at the end of every morning meeting, we rate them on about 8 different criteria. Were you passionate? Were you prepared? Did you ask questions? Did you maintain order within the meeting? We ask these things and they rate each other. You get below a 7, you're doing the meeting over again. Imagine what happens with education when you have a simple way to, in a consistent fashion, not every quarter, not every month, but every day evaluate the job that's being done. That's flow. That's continuous improvement. That's small incremental improvement connected together to create an amazing result.
Other key takeaways. Bob, go ahead.
Also, I wrote down, make a story, value the customer, and you need buy-in. Those are 3 that I got.
Excellent. Bernita's got those. Any others? I see some folks over here.
Want to see what I couldn't hear what he said.
Yeah, I couldn't quite hear it either.
All right. Then make it fun, that you can make it fun, and that it's more than just something you do at the job. I think that
It becomes a way of life.
a way of life.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead and keep it rolling
Everybody gets it.
Absolutely.
And that's magic. When that
Right here, guys. Go ahead.
Everyone is a process engineer.
Isn't that special? So cool.
Let's keep them rolling here, guys. What do we got?
Learning to see the waste.
Excellent.
The power of video to spread the wealth and inspire more creativity.
You guys are awesome. You got it.
Lean done real is earth-shaking.
Excellent.
It is. It's
Excellent.
tectonic. It should be radically changing what you're doing. Not a little bit, radically changing.
So, Paul, I'm going to ask you to turn and look at the list that Bernita's been typing. And did we get it?
I think you guys got it.
Have we heard
for sure.
what you wanted us to hear?
But I think the real test will be if you ask me to come back next year as a keynote, and my response to Romano is no. But I would like to come back and interview 5 or 6 of the companies that implemented 2-second lean over the course of the next year, so you can tell the amazing results you're going to get when you do this, because it is simple and it is fun.
I think I can safely say that we'll put that under strong consideration.
Okay. All right.
All right. So how are we on time, Dan? Do we have time for a couple questions here? Okay. First person to the mic gets to ask Paul a question.
I'm here. So Paul, I'm over on your right.
Over here. Okay. All right. There you are.
Okay. Suggestions, please. So my company thinks lean is mostly like pole planning things out in the field with subcontractors.
Right.
And I see this incredible opportunity for us to make huge improvements within the office, so to speak. How do I help my management to see that?
That is an awesome question, and it's the easiest question for me to answer. By example, when you saw Nick shoot that video of hauling the mail, that was the president, that was the head guy making that video. When you lead by example, if you say, hey, look, I'm not going to worry about converting everyone in my company, I'm going to start doing lean. See, Nick required all of his top-level people to make one improvement video. Could you imagine saying to your executive team of a 900-person company, you have to make a video every week? They're going to look at, are you crazy? But they started making the video, and they go, wow, this is cool. And then everybody beneath them said, wow, if Nick can do it, if Steve can do it, if Bob can do it, hey, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to show them. And then the next thing you know, Nick's going, great job, man. Way to go. Steve's going, high five, rock and roll. And all of a sudden, you spread the whole culture by leading by example, by you becoming a lean maniac. Everybody will be riveted and magnetized to you, and everything else will take care of itself. That's what I do. I'm a maniac about making improvements, nonstop.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, but I got to push it up as opposed to push it down.
You just take care of yourself, and everything else will take care of everything else.
Excellent. Well, folks, let me invite you to give Paul a hand here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.